Hey, good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world today. I'm Kendall Bonner with the lovely Veronica Figueroa, and we are here on the Built to Climb podcast. Veronica and we've missed you guys. We've been doing a lot of interviews and we still have some more coming up. So, this is a little mini break. We're going to give you a podcast of just the two of us again here in the middle. But again, if you wanted to be a guest on the Built to Climb podcast, please just send me a DM in Climber, and I will get you the link to sign up because we do have some spots available, and we'd love to talk to you and learn more about your business and how we can support you and help you continue to grow. So, Veronica, I want to
Yeah.
talk to you about something interesting where I think that might be interesting for our audience. And I wanted to talk about that time when you finally decided you were ready to hire your first assistant. I really do think like some people miscalculate what it means to really build and scale. Like a lot of people think their first hire should be another agent or something like that. And really, I think it's just about hiring that first person to help take certain tasks off your plate so that you can focus on, income producing activities or the activities most enjoyed or things of that nature. So you did something interesting with your team recently that it helped spark this idea. And I don't think this is just for team members or team leaders, but really for anyone and everyone looking to grow and scale. There comes a place in your business where you need to add another layer. You need to add assistance. And so let's talk about that a little bit. What are you looking for when you hire an assistant? When do you think it's time to hire an assistant? And let's just have a conversation about that. I think it'd be interesting for our audience.
Yeah. So I shared with you something that obviously we recently did on the team for our top agents who are already performing at a high level. The next level of support that we could offer them was hiring them an assistant so that they could focus on the activities, like you mentioned, that are their best superpowers, which is negotiating, building relationships, and working with their clients. But the driving around and the putting out open house signs and the preparing paperwork was really the bottleneck for a lot of them. So I put together a council and I was like, okay, guys, like, what are your guys' thoughts if we get you guys an assistant? How do you take an agent that's already doing 30 transactions a year and get them to 40, 60? There's not enough hours in the day, right? It's not like you can, it's difficult. Something's going to break. So we thought, what could we do to help them perhaps uh, scale their business that next level, whether it's 10 extra deals or 12 extra deals a year. And they were so excited. And what we did is we got feedback from them of like, okay, this is the stuff that's bogging me down. It's having to run and write up the offer or having to run and, prepare the listing docs or request the showings. Like, those are the little things. Or just being able to work with multiple clients and even though the clients love me, they'd be okay with my assistant opening the door. So that's what we did. We basically did a roundtable with our top agents, asked them what they needed. We took the feedback and then we created this role. And we interviewed someone for actually we interviewed for quite a while. They needed to be licensed. They needed to be bilingual because on our team it's important that you're bilingual because we work with so many different clients from diverse backgrounds, and we wanted them to have a little bit of experience. They had been an agent on their own, but they chose to be more on the supportive role, and they really did enjoy the back end support of the business, not wanting to be the forward-facing agent, but yet has the personality to be able to be an extension of the agent. So we're like, this is the perfect, I would say hybrid of a showing assistant slash assistant for these agents as we tested, right? And it was only a group of agents, right? Because we knew that, it could get busy for this person and it was a beta, right? But it reminded me of when I first looked at my first hire that I needed, right? I started off with, I'll never forget, her name was Veronica Delic was my first hire when I first started, which you know her. She's now a great agent, been in my world for a long time. Um, you know, I just, it was the running around. It was back then we didn't have dot loop, we didn't have SkySlope, we didn't have the technology that we have. We didn't even have CRMs. I think Excel spreadsheet or I forgot what the system was that we were using just to track business. I forgot what it was called, but point two agent was my best, technology tool. Like it was fragmented, but having her from picking up my kids at school to dropping off paperwork to getting things signed to going to inspections for me was where I could leverage and get, I was get my time back so that I could focus on serving the clients and the referrals and the repeat business that I was getting because eventually it got to the point where there was not enough hours in the day. So depending on where you're at in your business, whether you're that first time, like you're making that decision the first time to hire someone, right? I think if you do an audit, like what I had my agents do, like what is holding you, like where are you stuck? What is it that you're struggling with? Where do you enjoy, what do you enjoy, and where do you feel like it just drains your soul? And I had them just write that down, and they submitted that feedback loop, and then from there we were able to craft this role for them. And that's what I did when I was hiring my first person. I was like, what can I no longer do? And at the time it included picking up my kids from school for
Right.
me. It
Right.
included at that time because I was a young mom with kids that were still in school, and at 3 o'clock, people wanted to see houses, and at 3 o'clock, I had to pick up my kids from school. And no mom shame. At that time, it was the season I was in. If anybody doesn't have to go through that, kudos to you. But little things like that. And again, not having the technology that we have today, it was also paper files, running around with manila paper files, and having to get signatures, wet signatures, and writing an offer on the hood of a car and still having to get it faxed because back then we were doing that. So I apply the same principle today that I did then as identifying what do I need to get off my plate so that I can be more efficient.
Yeah, I can totally appreciate all of that. I remember, so my first assistance happened while I was in my legal career, right? So I was used to having assistants, right? Like someone to support me and help me. And there was a difference between an assistant and a paralegal. I've worked with all of the above. And I will tell you the other thing that was interesting that you mentioned that I think like even just that house manager, you know what I mean? Someone to I've seen that before. I've never personally had a house manager. I've had someone help with even with cleaning my house. I invested in that a long time ago because that helped free me up. Talk about drain my soul and like cleaning a shower and a toilet and like the floors and all of that was like, I don't have time for that. That's hours. That's like a whole day. Who can help me with this? And is that worth my time so that and it doesn't always mean you have to be freed up to do more work. Sometimes it's just freed up so that you can not work, so that you can have a rest, so you can have a break. And so I really do think hiring an assistant or someone to support you in whatever it is you're needing help with, I think is super powerful. The other thing that you said that I hope our audience keyed in on, because there's someone in this audience who heard that and was like, I would love that job, right? Sometimes being in our industry isn't always just about selling houses. There's so many business adjacent or opportunity adjacent things. And sometimes you find like you don't love making the phone calls, you don't love doing some of the typical prospecting or follow-up things or structured and organized things that some people like to do, or you don't like the chaos of certain parts of our industry. There are other ways that you can find opportunity. And I think what you just crafted was an idea of like there's someone in our audience, I'm sure, who's like, you know what, I would love that job. I could be someone's showing assistant slash support staff slash whatever. I enjoy those things. I love doing that stuff. And that might be an opportunity for you. And so I just want to encourage you, if you find yourself in that position where you're like, I don't love this part, but I don't want to leave the industry or I want to do this and that, you should look for opportunities like that because there will be people that will hire you for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I think there's different phases to this. And for example, even myself right now, I just made a hire for me to scale me as my business continues to evolve. And some of these hires are scary. I want you to know, like, I sit in the same hot seat as you guys of thinking like, oh my gosh, like this is another responsibility. It's another, mouth to feed. It's, that's a huge, like keeps you up at night when you're, making these decisions. But on the other side, it's the hire you need to make so that you could focus on the things that you need to focus on. I just brought on someone that just accepted an offer this week and this weekend. And it's because we are expanding and because we are doing some things that is going to require more of me and more focused time. I need to be a more focused leader. This person can do more of the peopling for me. Because the peopling aspect is something, even though I enjoy doing, I love doing, I need to have my focus lens on like I need to be super focused and in visionary mode, but also execution mode. So the peopling aspect, people need to be able to still feel the love, and someone that could still have probably I would say the same level of experience as I have when it comes to complex situations, coaching leaders, having conversations that oftentimes maybe don't feel good, while still feeling like they're getting an extension of me. And that's a hard hire. That's a really hard hire for them to have the knowledge, the maturity, the emotional intelligence. And I've been working on this hire for a long time. And I finally just made the decision just the other day to kind of bring this person on. And I'm excited, but at the same time, I always worry. I'm like, ah, but they'll know when to tap me in. But, I just want to share with anybody who's out there, when you make these hires, I actually let now take my time. This was a 9 month in the making hire. It's like a baby was born. A baby was born because I put the ad out, interviewed a lot of people. Nope, they weren't the fit. Nope, they weren't the fit. Just was talking to this person. We were talking about like what would it look like? What would it look like? What would it look like? Until we finally was like, it's clear as day. It's you and
Right.
me. Like we could
Yeah.
do this. And you know, if you're thinking about making a hire and you're thinking about replacing yourself, um, oftentimes the fear that you have that that person is gonna, maybe make a mistake or they're not gonna be able to do it as good as you do, it is a normal feeling. But on the other side, what this person can do for you is give you the most precious thing back, which is time for you to operate in your superpower and time for you to really work, and I know that cliche about working on the business because I'm not looking to hire these people so I could do less right now, Kendall. I need to just be like super relentlessly focused as a leader. Um, and you know, I think what's on the other side of it, you'd be surprised that my business has only grown when I've made strategic hires that have given me the time to let go of the things that were holding me down. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, look how much further we've gone. And I waited so long. But so, yes, I took my time, but it's because I was being very, very detailed about what this next hire was going to be. And this is a big, big hire for me because at this point, this is the person that's going to take us from 70 agents to 150 on our team. So they're tied to the growth, everything from KPIs to what I expect them to do, where they're going to be tied to the success, what's our baseline, what we already know we could do. But I know that this person is going to get us on the other side if we all come together with the vision and very clear on what we're going to do. But every time I've made these type of hires, we've become a completely different version of ourselves as a leader.
I love that. Well, because it's also too so important to recognize like you're not always just hiring someone to take things like the some of the time I'll say time expensive things off your plate, but also sometimes you are doing it to create, not just time freedom, but also like stress freedom because you brought in a leader. Like sometimes you're hiring like different levels of staff in different places. I mean, we did that recently on our team. We brought in partners to help add leadership and we brought in new hires and It's actually been so good because for the first time in a long time, I feel my husband, the pressure is like releasing off of him because he has someone that he can rely on, or, he has got new people that he can, share the responsibility with and kind of take the things off his plate that were not his superpower so he can stay deeper in its superpower. And just the joy in life that just typically brings, and the release of pressure. I'm wanted to find something that I saw this morning. I can't find it on my Instagram since we were talking about this, but she was talking about basically a CEO really only has three jobs. And I want to find the three. If I find it, I will post it. I will attach it to this recording, like in the comments or something. But um, basically, she said if you're as a CEO or a leader of a business, if you're not focused on just those three things, everything else you're doing, you are robbing from your business. Like
Yeah.
you're a thief because
Yeah.
you're allowing these other things to take you away from your primary functions as the CEO and leader of a business. And I thought that was really interesting. And it makes me connect the dots here in this conversation with you that sometimes, like, if you are scared to make that first hire, you're actually robbing your business of
Yeah.
money, of growth, of opportunity because you're not freeing yourself up to be doing the things you actually should be doing and focused on. So that was really good. That was interesting. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and I think I think we growth feels scary sometimes. It really does. But as like you said, a CEO's job is to continue to cast vision, right, and lead the team and cast a big enough vision that everyone gets excited about. When I was on my morning huddle this morning and I made the announcement to my team, they actually know this person. They were excited. They were like just so grateful. And my team actually said, "Thank you for consistently investing and pushing yourself and us to the next level." And it's interesting when your team can be a part of the vision and they celebrate this versus think, oh, like, is this person going to come in and like, like take away my responsibilities, or am I gonna have to worry? No, I'm like, no, this person is gonna compliment. We're super excited in the areas that we have gaps, right? And my team this morning was like big fire emojis on our Zoom. They're like, we're super excited. Thank you so much for always thinking about the future. Today's June 1st, 2026. And we're talking about like, dude, we just had our best month, right? And 2026 is it's shaping up to be strong, but how do we shape up to be even stronger, right? How do we close it? How do we make sure that we continue to build? And it's with talent.
Yeah.
You have to build a bench of talent and develop your talent. And this hire, which is really, really important for everyone, hopefully, who's listening, this talent that I'm bringing in, I look at as a leader that can make me a better leader, that I could then feel like I have a coach on my side that I can, leverage as like sounding board and like, hey, like, how would you handle this? And in even the offer letter, it was like, you have autonomy and you have like founder authority to understand that I trust your, leadership. And that takes a lot. And it took me a lot to get to that place where I am building a roster of people that I feel have ownership and are going to be a better version of oftentimes a better version of me when I'm not in the room. And that it took me years to get to that point. But it's a beautiful place when you can get there. And I pray that anybody who's listening can eventually build something that they're excited, that they feel that the people that they bring into their world can be a better, oftentimes, not only better representation of them, but like that pride that you don't have to be in the room watching that person's every move because you know that person's going to represent you so well.
Yeah. Well, that is beautiful. And I love this. And it made me think of something else too. For those of you guys listening, if your hang up right now is I can't afford that, I want to talk this moment's for you right now because what Veronica just described, she's evolved and it's an evolution. And that last point there was really too for those leaders that are really looking to go that next level. Like, don't be afraid. That is, you want to find quality talent. But for those of you that are getting started, I don't want you to feel like this isn't for you, because there's lessons in what she just said for you too, which is because something she said that I want you to walk away with is understanding this. It's not always about the money.
Yeah.
When you hire people, sometimes people aren't always looking for just making the most money in that moment. Sometimes they're looking for other opportunities. They're looking for leadership. They're looking for position. They're looking for the ability to live in their superpower.
Yeah.
So don't assume because someone might be different than you. In fact, people often encourage you, don't hire just you, hire people who are the opposite of you, the people that don't that have their superpower is your weakness, right? Those gaps in your business. And I remember I've hired different people and put together different types of, we'll call them compensation packages that aren't always just about the financial piece. Like I've had people where they just wanted to be able to have vacation, like, hey, I don't just take 1 week. I have a 2 weeks in the summer and 1 week in the winter. And I just want that. I want the freedom to, when I go on vacation, I can have my vacation,
Yep.
or whatever. There's just different things people want. And so until you know what they want, you'll never be able to satisfy that need. So take a moment when you're not only craft the ideal job responsibilities, but then also as you meet people, find out what's actually important to them and see if you can package something that meets all those needs. And sometimes Veronica just said she birthed a baby. It took over 9 months to get to this place, but the payout is or the payoff, I should say, the outcome, the investment was all worth it, because now she's got not only the right person, but the timing's now right, the offer is right, the expectations are aligned, all those things have come together. And we just have to be patient and take time to allow all of that to develop. And I think that's one of Veronica's superpowers, is just she's patient. She's
Oh, well,
patient.
thank you.
You see that vision, and then you just start working at, it's like that. If there's a will, there's a way. Like, just start working towards it. And then the opportunity for it to come together comes together. So
Well, three things I want to leave them with that are tactical or tangible that they could do. Like, I definitely leveraged Working Genius. I ran a Working Genius on my entire team, and I identified what skills and what areas of, like just say talent I was lacking. And then I looked at my entire team, leadership team, and then realized, okay, like I have a lot of great people in my world, and they're all operating in a certain superpower. But there were some of them that I was asking them to do things that weren't their superpower, and it wasn't sparking joy. And that's also where I can identify. I realized I was like, "Ooh, we're missing this link."
yeah,
And I am only one person, and my energy can't be stretched too thin. So, like, I need to find the perfect hire that actually really loves this part of the business and can bridge the gap. So, Working Genius, if you don't, thanks to Tina Call, she's a good friend of mine. She introduced me to the book. I actually have the book, I'm always reading it, learning more about it. And I did the assessment. And whenever I'm hiring someone, or I just want to get to know that person, I pay the $25 for them to do the assessment because I want to know what lights them up. So I did Working Genius. And then, of course, I submitted my Working Genius, submitted my team's Working Genius, submitted this person's Working Genius, and then say, this is what I'm missing. This is what I need. This is what I'm thinking of this role. This is where we want to go. And then, Claude has been my new, kind of AI, like kind of advocate and kind of like strategic advisor. I'm like, hey, like, so this is what I'm thinking, but I want to make sure that I build a comp plan that makes sense, and this is where we want to go, and I want to give a buffer. And so it was a matter of really spending time with the person. So spend time with the person, talk to them. I talked to them about the good, the bad, the ugly. I tested them. I did a lot of different things to make sure that they were the right fit. Then I used tools. So if you haven't read Working Genius, I highly recommend that you read it. I highly recommend that you use the tool. It's the best $25 you will invest if you're going to hire someone, because you will know if that person has the skill set that you need. And then pop that into Claude and say, how would this person work with me? And where are we going to collide? And where are we going to like jive? Where are we going to jam out on? And how is this person going to work with this person? and this person. And I just used it to my advantage. So if I could just give you, if it's, you're looking, tell it, I'm looking for a transaction coordinator. I'm looking for a showing assistant. I'm looking for this. This is the hire. Break it down and then leverage that little tool if you want. If it's my gift to hopefully help you make one good hire or your next best hire. And by the way, it's not perfect, but I think it'll save you a lot of the mistakes that cost me a lot of mistakes in the past that I used to hire people just with gut. Now I use a little bit more information while trusting my intuition and the vision, but leveraging tools.
I love that. That's just break it down for them, sis. That's lesson on lesson on lesson. So
Yeah, I mean, it really, really is something that I'm excited and I worked on really, really hard over the last few months. And I felt accomplished I felt accomplished. When I saw that acceptance offer came in, I was like, we did it.
I love that for you. I love that for your new hire. Super excited for the team and for your brand and all of that to continue to grow and elevate and take it to the next level. You've always been an inspiration to me when it came to that stuff, especially. And I loved watching and learning from you, and I know others do too. So thank you, and thank you for always being transparent about it. Like that's again one of the many, many, many beautiful things about you is that how honest you are, as much as like it makes sense to be because you want to be honest about the lessons and you've been honest about like what you've done that's worked and what's not worked, and you've
Yeah.
allowed other people to grow from that. So thank you. Thank you.
Well, my pleasure. Thank you for asking and thanks for, sharing with the climber community, my experience so that maybe they can see where they're at in their journey. And if you guys ever have any questions, feel free to reach out, DM me. You can reach me obviously on Climber, and or social, and I'm happy to share my opinions. If you need me to read a working genius, I'll read it for you. Like I'm happy to help because I just want your business to grow. You guys were built to climb. We're here for you no matter what stage in your business you are at. And I just hope that my mistakes will save you from making mistakes and my lessons. Like you always say, Kendall, right? You don't have to be the one to make the mistake to learn the lesson. So
Right. That's right, Queen. That's wisdom.
let's go. Well, thank you guys for being here today. Honored to be on the hot seat and share a little bit about what's happening in my world and my reality and my past. And excited to build the future with you guys all here at Climber. And Kendall, thank you for being a part of my climb.
Oh, sis, same, 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 same. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We appreciate you. We value you. And remember, you were built to climb. See you on the next
Yes.
one. Ciao.